The Red Raiders face off against the Mountaineers out in Morgantown to open up their Big 12 slate. What are the three keys to the game for the Red Raiders to head back to the 806 with a 1-0 record? Hey, how's it going, everybody? I am RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and I'm not going to give the subscribe spiel today. I just want you to like the video if you think Texas Tech is going to beat West Virginia on Saturday out in Morgantown, going for 5 straight against the Fighting Neil Browns and the Mountaineers. Can the Red Raiders come back to the 806 with a 1-0 record in the Big 12? And also, like the video if you think John Denver belongs to Texas Tech. If you know, you know. Give us the guitar now. Just kidding. All right, let's jump into these keys to the game real quick. Number one, we talked about it yesterday on the video in terms of previewing this game for Texas Tech. But again, it goes – I don't think we can mention it enough. Honestly, you have to stop or limit the West Virginia rushing attack, right? Listen, 189 rush attempts to 70 pass attempts. Let me repeat that. 189 rush attempts to only 70 pass attempts. That's what West Virginia has done through the first 3 games of the season, right? They want to run the football. They want to dictate the pace of the game, right? But Texas Tech has a chance to go in and really mitigate that. You look what they did against Oregon. And listen, no disrespect to West Virginia. Oregon's got a much better rushing attack. And I thought when it came down to the running back aspect of things, I thought Texas Tech did a phenomenal job against guys from Oregon, right? They need to go in and they need to set the edge, right? That's going to be the big thing. I know that people have been upset about the pass rush with Steve Linton as well as Miles Cole and those guys really not showing up in the sack department quite yet. I'm not sure if they do that against West Virginia on Saturday for the sheer fact of the main priority for Texas Tech is going to be stopping the run, and rightfully so. Again, 189 rush attempts to 70 pass attempts. There's not much else that needs to be said there, right? If you can contain and set the edge if you're Texas Tech and limit those bounce out opportunities that really allow running backs to create extra yards and get people in space and really just dictate where they want to go. If you can limit them between the tackles, you got 2 of the best guys on the defensive line in the Big 12 and Tony Bradford and Jalen Hutchins. Not to mention, it'll help your linebackers, and you get a couple of guys back considering Tyreek Matthews is back according to Joey McGuire. You've got Josiah Pierre, Ben Roberts. You're going to mix and match some guys in there at the linebacker spot, but it's much easier for a linebacker to have to plug the A, B, or C gap than to have to run sideline to sideline, right? So I think if Texas Tech can really contain the West Virginia running game, and what I mean by that is not absolutely flat out stop it. I don't think that that's going to happen. But if you can limit the bounce out opportunities and force West Virginia to really try and run the football between the tackles, I think your chances of winning go exponentially higher if you are the Red Raiders in this one. Again, one more time, like the video if you think Texas Tech will beat West Virginia for the 5th consecutive time out in Morgantown this Saturday. A 2:30 kickoff, 3:30 kickoff on the East Coast. We'll have a very special guest on the live stream tomorrow night going behind enemy lines. You're going to want to check that out. So again, hit that subscribe button. But more importantly right now, like the video if you think Texas Tech will beat West Virginia on Saturday. All right, let's jump into key number 2. And it kind of goes to the Texas Tech side of things here. We talked about what they have to do on the defensive line. Now let's flip it to the offensive side for Texas Tech. You have to win the line of scrimmage battle if you were the Texas Tech offensive line. And listen, I get it. I even put it down on the bottom line there. It's a Captain Obvious alert, right? You're welcome, America. But the Texas Tech offensive line has been inconsistent, to say the least, on the tackle spots. I think the interior has been pretty solid for the most part. Specifically, Cole Spencer. Rusty Stats has struggled at times. He had a couple of really bad plays against Oregon. But overall, I think he's been okay, right? It really comes down to Monroe Mills, who stuck out like a sore thumb in terms of some of his penalties and some of his mistakes on the left side. And that's really why you're going to see Ty Buchanan, according to Joey McGuire, rotate in there at the left tackle spot, right tackle spot, whatever it may be. He'll get some run in this. But really what it comes down to for me is this. If you're the Texas Tech offensive line, you've proven you've been pretty solid in pass pro. I think that they've actually been good in pass protection. Now, when it comes to running and run blocking, they struggled, right? Against Tarleton, it's Tarleton State, right? Whatever, right? But against Oregon and Wyoming, they struggled to get the run going for the running backs and holding blocks in the run game. If they can do that against West Virginia, I think that's a trickle-down effect, right, for this offense. It allows you to do a lot more, and we'll talk about it a little bit more for key number 3. But for me, this Texas Tech offensive line has to open up some holes for Taj Brooks to run through, because if Taj Brooks gets going, I think West Virginia starts to play back on their heels. And if West Virginia defensively plays back on their heels, specifically their 2 really good linebackers and their 1 really good DB, like, okay, you're in a good spot here if you're Texas Tech, because now you're talking about chunk plays potentially, right? You're talking about being above the chains, right? Going out there and being second and short, third and manageable, whatever you want to call it, right? You have the opportunity, if you're Texas Tech, to do that if you win the line of scrimmage battle. And I think Texas Tech has a good chance to do it. You got guys like Baylor Cupp coming back. I would not be surprised at all if you see the tight ends stay on the offensive line, specifically on the left side this week a little bit more, where they're going to go out for passing routes and everything like that. But they're also going to stay and be an outside blocker to help push the defensive edge into the offensive line, so it's easier for the tackle to really know where it's going, right? That good old push block inside. So I think you're going to see that quite a bit from Texas Tech in this one against West Virginia. But I also think right now you have to really use your run game if you're Texas Tech to open up that pass game a little bit more. We've talked about how the wide receivers haven't gotten separation. We'll talk about how I think they can if this number 2 key right here hits for Texas Tech, because if it doesn't, it could be a long day in the office for the Red Raider offense. All right, who you got? I asked you in the preview video. I'm going to ask you again here on the 3 keys to the game. Give me your score prediction for Texas Tech at West Virginia. Who you got? I've seen some West Virginia fans in the comments absolutely love it. There's some of them are talking trash. Some of them are concerned. Same thing can be said about Texas Tech. There's some really high scores for Texas Tech, and even some people that think Texas Tech is going to lose to West Virginia. Let me know your score prediction down in the comments below. All right, this kind of goes back, key number 3 does, to winning number 2, right? In terms of if your offensive line is good, I think this is what you do if you're Texas Tech. You have to use the play action pass and the RPO to your advantage. I get there's a quarterback controversy in the Texas Tech Red Raider Nation right now, right? Like in terms of the fan base wants one thing and maybe parts of it don't, but a majority seem like they want Barrett Morton at quarterback, right? And I get it to some degree. But I think this is actually a good opportunity for Tyler Shough. And the reason being is this. This is where Texas Tech and Tyler Shough can take advantage, right? If they win in the trenches in terms of running the football, I think you can use the RPO and the play action pass a lot better if you're Texas Tech. And Barrett Morton can do the play action aspect of it, but not the RPO like Tyler Shough can. And I'm not talking about designed QB draws all the time. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about legit RPOs where Tyler Shough has a route go right across his face, whether that's a streaking route, whatever it may be, a drag route, whatever, right? A post corner, whatever it could be, right? Like he needs something that goes across his face, specifically a drag route, I think is probably the best opportunity here. And you get Taj Brooks involved. You get these guys to go into the box, right, in terms of 8 guys, 7 guys in the box for West Virginia because they have to respect the run game. If that happens, you can use the play action a lot more effectively, and there will be a lot more space for Tyler Shough to throw to guys like Bradley, McCray, Price, Fungi, whoever it may be, Jordan Brown, so on and so forth, right? Like that's the thing that I think Texas Tech has to do, and they have to do it early in terms of dictating the pace of play. They want to have tempo, right? And they have to get Taj Brooks involved early so you can do things like this in the play action pass, right? That's something that is big for Tyler Shough. And again, run routes like a drag, a slant, a crossing, post routes, whatever it may be, stuff across the middle of the field, because if they are going to bring 7 forward when it comes to the play action pass or the RPO, because they have to respect the run, you're going to have big pockets right there in the middle of the field to throw into. And a guy like Bradley, McCray, Price, whoever it may be, if you have a guy there who's reliable, all right, there you go. You're cooking with grease now if you're Texas Tech. Again, one look at the spread before we head out of here. It's still -6.5, total over under 54.5. My favorite bet for this is the Texas Tech money line. I do think Texas Tech wins. I gave my prediction yesterday 33-25. But before we get out of here, I kind of want to hear from you guys in this sense. In your opinion, what is the biggest key to the game for Texas Tech to beat West Virginia in Morgantown? Could be the offensive line. I'm sure somebody's going to say, oh, switching the quarterback to Baron Morton. I know that there's a lot of Texas Tech fans that want to do that, but let me know your biggest key to the game for Texas Tech to beat the Mountaineers out in West Virginia. And one more time, like the video if you think Texas Tech is going to beat West Virginia on Saturday. Again, would get the Red Raiders back to 500. Big deal. 1-0 in Big 12 play. That is a big deal. Then you're coming home and you're facing potentially a familiar face in Donovan Smith and, well, Dana Holgorsen as well. But again, like the video if you think Texas Tech is going to beat West Virginia on Saturday. I am R.C. Maxfield reminding you, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button for free daily Texas Tech videos and Big 12 content all year long. It's your one-stop shop for everything Texas Tech football you need to know, from breaking news, game previews, keys to the game, film breakdown, and much more. Hit that subscribe button to stay in the know right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.